Imani Carter sat in the third row, second seat from the window, arms folded tight against her chest, eyes narrowed on the glowing algebra problem etched in blue marker at the front of the room. Advanced equations danced across the whiteboard far beyond what was normally expected of a 7th grader at Jefferson Middle School in Boise, Idaho. But Imani liked numbers. They made sense. They didn't judge, didn't whisper behind your back, didn't roll their eyes when you raised your hand. Numbers followed rules even when people didn't. The classroom buzzed in a low, droning murmur. Not quite loud, but full of enough chatter to slip into unnoticed. That's how Imani preferred it. Keep your head down. Finish your work. Avoid unnecessary waves. It had worked until today. Mr. Halston, tall and graying with a permanent smirk and sleeves always rolled up to his elbows like he was ready to tackle something he hadn't tackled in years, turned from the board and faced the class. "All right," he said, tapping the cap of his dry erase marker on his palm. "If anyone here can solve this, I'll call you the next Einstein." Some kids chuckled. A few exchanged glances. Most looked down at their notes, uninterested in the challenge. Imani's fingers twitched. Her brain worked the equation quietly, layering steps in silence. Then, almost without realizing it, she lifted her hand. "Mr." Halston blinked. "Carter." He said her name with a tilt, like he'd forgotten she even sat there. "You want to try it?" he asked, a half-smile spreading. Imani nodded, heart hammering in her chest. "Oh," he said with a chuckle. "Well, this one's impossible, so let's not waste class time." A few students laughed. Someone at the back let out a theatrical snort. Imani's face burned, but she didn't lower her hand. She kept her eyes on Mr. Halston steady, unflinching. He waved her off. "It's fine, let's move on," he said. But it wasn't fine. Imani slowly folded her hand down like closing a wing. The moment passed, but something stirred in her, something deeper than anger, heavier than shame. It was the feeling of being dismissed again. She'd felt it before, being one of 3 black students in the entire 7th grade, and the only one in the advanced math track came with a quiet kind of invisibility. Teachers smiled, sure but thin, patronizing smiles. The kind that said "good girl" without expecting much. Mr. Halston never called on her unless he had no choice. Someone 2 seats over whispered something. Imani didn't hear it, but she felt it laughter, the weight of being easy to target. The bell rang. Backpacks zipped. Chairs scraped. Imani waited until the room thinned out. Mr. Halston capped his marker and turned to erase the board. Imani approached. "Mr. Halston." He turned, mildly surprised. "Yes. Can I have that problem?" He frowned. "What do you mean?" "The one you said was impossible." He looked at her a beat too long, then reached below the board and handed her a folded sheet. "Sure," he said, grinning like it was a joke. "Knock yourself out." Imani didn't laugh. She slid the paper into her math folder and walked out without another word. She didn't go home to forget about it. She went home to solve it. The walk was sure just 2 blocks past the gas station with the busted sign and the laundromat that always smelled like scorched dryer sheets. Her backpack bounced with each step, but her mind was elsewhere. Inside the Carter home, the air was warm and alive with the scent of seasoned chicken and green beans. Denise Carter, Imani's mom, manned the stove with 2 burners going and the air fryer humming. "You're home early," Denise called. Imani dropped her bag by the table and didn't answer right away. She slid into the corner seat, the one her older brother used before leaving for college. She laid out the sheet of paper. "Everything good at school?" her mom asked, poking her head around the corner. "Yeah," Imani said. "Just got a math thing I want to figure out." Denise wiped her hands and approached. "That doesn't look like your usual homework." "It's not," Imani replied. "My teacher said it was impossible." Her mother raised an eyebrow. "And you took that as a challenge, huh?" Imani smirked faintly. "Something like that." Denise kissed the top of her head. "Well, you've got your daddy's brain. You'll crack it wide open." It was simple encouragement, but being believed without having to prove anything lit a fire in her. She worked, pencil tapping, eraser shavings piling up, paper edges bending from wear. The formula was twisted, the numbers stubborn, but slowly she started to see patterns. She worked through dinner, came back afterward. By 9:40 p.m., Her bedroom floor was a snowstorm of balled-up paper. She lay flat on her stomach, chin on her forearm, staring at the same equation. And then it clicked. A thread pulled tight, then loosened. She sat up. Started again. This time it flowed. Step by step, no guessing. Just clarity. She checked her work twice. 3 times. Then she tried it from a new angle, testing a second method. She wanted to be sure. At midnight, her mom peeked in. "You still at it?" Imani looked up, dazed. "I think I got it." Denise entered, sat beside her, and stared at the pages. "You're going to take these to school Monday?" Imani nodded. "All right then. Don't go showing off too hard." "I'm not," she grinned. "I just want him to see." Saturday blurred. Imani didn't sleep in. She read her solutions on clean paper. Then made another copy. Then another. She considered typing them. By Sunday, she had 2 folders, one with raw, messy originals, and one clean, neat, labeled. She stared out the window. Her mom was trimming the hedges. Her little sister, Ava, drew chalk smiley faces on the sidewalk. Life moved on like it hadn't changed. But for Imani, it had. Later, over a slice of apple pie, Denise asked, "You sure you want to take this to him?" Imani nodded. "You're not doing it to prove anything to anyone but yourself, right?" "I don't know." Her mom reached over, holding her hand. "People like Halston's been carrying blind spots a long time. You shine too bright and they don't know what to do with it. But you show them anyway. Not to make them feel small. Just so they can see what they missed. Even if they don't admit they were wrong?" Even then, that night, Imani packed the clean folder into a plastic sleeve, picked out her clothes like it was picture day. Monday morning, she walked into room 112. "Mr." Halston stood at the board, back turned, already teaching. No nod. No mention of Friday. Imani didn't raise her hand. Third period began the same. Halston spoke fast, racing through formulas. 20 minutes in, Joshua Kent, one of the loud soccer kids, raised his hand. Mr. Halston, can we go back to that problem from last week?" "The hard one." Halston paused. "That one wasn't really meant to be solved." "What if someone did?" Josh asked, eyeing Imani. A ripple moved through the class. Heads turned. Imani didn't move. Then, slowly, she raised her hand. Halston looked surprised. "You want to take a stab at it now?" She didn't reply. Just stood, walked to the front, and laid the folder on his desk. Then she picked up the black marker. "There are 2 ways to solve it," she said. "I wrote them both if you want to check." She erased the current problem and rewrote the original. Then she began. Her voice wasn't loud, but it was steady, clear. She broke down each step, boxed the answer, then flipped the page. "This one's longer, but it works if you don't remember how to factor." She wasn't showing off. She was teaching. When she finished, she capped the marker and sat down. Silence. Then, "Dang," Josh muttered. "She really did it," someone whispered. A single clap. Then a few more. Halston picked up her papers. Read silently. Then spoke, soft. "Well, looks like I was wrong." Imani met his eyes. "Yeah," she said. "You were." After class, the reactions poured in. Josh leaned over. "That was sick." "Seriously." Camille Lawson, always at the center of popularity, approached in the hallway. "You really solved that?" "Girl, that was boss." At lunch, the principal pulled her aside. With a smile, she handed Imani a flyer for the regional math showcase in Spokane. Imani blinked. "Wait me. You'll represent Jefferson well," the counselor said. Imani's heart fluttered. This wasn't about proving someone wrong anymore. She was being seen. That afternoon, her language arts teacher, Ms. Ford, paused during reading time. "I heard what you did in math class," she said. "That's impressive." Imani only nodded. She was still processing. At home, she handed her mom the flyer. "They want me to go to Spokane next month." Her mom read slowly, then smiled. Looks like that impossible problem opened a few doors. But the hardest part wasn't solving it was being underestimated in the first place. The next day, Halston never mentioned it again. No apology. No nod. Nothing. After class, Imani lingered. "I brought the original pages, like you said." He barely looked up. Thanks. I already showed the copies to the principal. She hesitated. I thought maybe. He looked up. You're very bright. Just be careful. Some kids don't take well to being shown up. She walked out. The words clung to her like fog. Not for what they said, but for what they didn't. 2 days later, she sat in the cafeteria with her tray. Tables that used to ignore her now offered open seats. She passed them, sat in her usual spot. Josh slid in across from her. You're going to Spokane, right? Yeah. You nervous? A little. You shouldn't be. You crushed that problem. It wasn't about the problem. Then what? She paused. It was about being allowed to try. Josh nodded slowly. That's real. Later that afternoon, she sat in study hall, not solving equations but writing thoughts. Questions like, what does being smart look like to people? Why is confidence mistaken for arrogance from the wrong person? What if proving you're capable isn't the point? MS. Ford stopped by. You taught more than math this week, Imani. What do you mean? You showed what's possible when someone's given room to grow. By Friday, things settled. Kids stopped staring. But something in Imani had changed. She passed by room 112. Halston sat grading papers. She could have said something. Asked why he never really acknowledged her. But she didn't. She didn't need his validation anymore. That weekend, her mom took her shopping. Spokane in February wasn't kind. As they packed, Denise handed her a folded note. Don't open it till you're on the bus. The next morning, Imani boarded. Folder in hand. Jacket zipped. She unfolded the note. Whatever room you walk into, walk like you belong. Because you do. She tucked it back in her folder and stared out the window, not to watch what she was leaving, but to imagine what she might build next. Because every child deserves to be seen not for who people assume they are, but for who they truly are. And if you're someone like Imani, don't wait for the world to validate you. Know your worth. Carry it with pride. And teach them how to see it.